All right, let's call the school committee meeting of August 22nd to order. We'll do a quick rundown of the agenda, then we'll just dive right in. So we have, right now, the call to order. We then have public comment. We'll go through the consent agenda and do a couple of quick reports for the police superintendent and any liaison reports that we have. We'll then move to review and approval of the RMHS student handbook and the district-wide student handbook. We'll then do new leadership introductions. We have two of them here in person with us. I know one's going to join us as well via Zoom, and we'll go from there. And then we will jump to old business, and that's reviewing superintendent goals. That's a result of some of the conversations during the formative session, just where the superintendent himself and some committee members were talking about one of the goals in particular, so we'll see if there's anything to do there. And the last step is going to be a new business update for the beginning of the year, including a discussion on the middle school METCO coordinator. Okay? So with that said, let's start with any public comment. Sometimes I get in trouble because I skip past that. There's nobody here today, so we'll move ourselves forward. Consent agenda. Erin, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second? Seconded by Carla. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed, and it passes 5-0. Okay, so we'll move on to reports. Dr. Milczewski.
No report. I'll be giving them the majority of my comments during the beginning of school updates.
Okay, great. We'll do liaisons. We'll start with Carla.
Do you want to give it?
No, you should do it. I don't want to take the credit for your work.
So, big news with Killam, we had a big milestone, a big submission to the MSBA. We had the preferred schematic report, which included the design option that we're going to the bidders with, which was really awesome. If you hear the donut-shaped one, there is the classrooms are like in a donut shape, if you hear that. The second option was, some people are calling it the cruller. It's a longer haul. Always about the food. So that submission was made to the MSBA yesterday. So it was a huge undertaking. The designer and the OPM did a great job. We've just been having multiple meetings. We also, a group of us went to Uxbridge High School, and we met with, they have tons of different innovation pathways and different things that they're doing. So Chris Haley actually took a video of it. If anybody wants to tune into it, it's like a half-hour video, but it's on the Killam website, so killamschool.com, and you can go and see the stuff that they're doing. They had the virtual autopsy table and a bunch of other different things. So it was kind of cool to see.
And the purpose of that was?
So Killam isn't just benefiting our Killam students and our Killam community, it will benefit the entire district. So the decision was made to move the full preschool under one roof. So we will be freeing up space at Wood End, and we'll be freeing up space at the high school. So we're looking at those possibilities, and Dr. Milczewski and people here have been looking at that. What does that mean for the high school and the opportunities for students? As we know, just in the past 4 years, between innovation pathways, between internships offered to seniors, between dual enrollment, our high school looks a lot different. So if we had extra space, what could we do with that? So we just went to see Uxbridge, who's leading the pack, but I have no doubt that we'll be leading that pack soon with extra space opening up here.
Okay.
I'd like to add two quick things on that. First, on the PSR submission, there was a big document for us called the budget statement. And just to give a shout out to a couple of team members in our office who behind the scenes worked extensively to try to put that together. Michelle Roach, Kristen Cohen, Olivia Lejeune, Mackenzie Bilodeau, and Kate Finnegan helped push that over the top for the last few days. So a huge thank you to them. And also just to piggyback a little bit on that visit to Uxbridge, I think that my big takeaway there was the amount of hands-on learning opportunity for our students. Maybe some more of the traditional vocational opportunities as you would think, but then also merging some more of the what maybe traditional hands-on learning opportunities with what are some of the new and emerging technology, particularly in the sort of the engineering field. So I think it gave us a lot of, they had a space probably, half the size, all dedicated to sort of their carpentry engineering space, which is really encouraging. So we're walking away with some ideas of what it would look like to make sure that kids, with a variety of interests and for a variety of future roles could get some of those opportunities we know are so important with their hands on, so.
And then you saw throughout the building, different carpentry projects that were done and used. So there's a lot of cross-pollination too with it. It was, they had an embroidery area where they embroidered, T-shirts and all different stuff. And it just was really cool. So there's a lot of cross-pollination with that too.
Great.
Yeah.
Now the rest of us have to beat that report, so good luck. Sean?
I want to just add on a couple comments. Carla covered, I think, all the content stuff really well. Just a couple of observations. I don't know, 3 meetings in now on the school building committee. There are 3 things that I think I've noticed. One is it's a really functional, collaborative committee. It really is operating really well, which is, great to see and really important for a project like this, which is very encouraging. 2 is the designer and the OPM are really responsive to our needs and to things that might change from one meeting to the next. When we landed on the preferred schematic, we kind of landed on it in one meeting and then sort of needed to formalize it in another meeting. They were maybe a week apart, but even in between those meetings, they took feedback on, the things that people had reservations about on the design we did land on, and had integrated that into into an updated design that still offered everything the original design did, but addressed a lot of the concerns of the committee. So that was really good to see. And then the third thing is, I've been really encouraged that sort of the sustainability of this building is at the core of everything that everybody's doing and everything everybody's thinking about. There's an assumption in all the estimates that the building is going to be engineered for solar on the roof, for instance. There's, the early read is that the HVAC system is likely to have a heavy geothermal footprint, right? So it's really encouraging just to see that the starting point is, let's develop a green building that's going to have low operating costs, into the future. It's not wish list items that are never going to pay for themselves. It's all the things that sort of make sense and have a good return. And it's just really encouraging to see that that's very much part of the process and part of everybody's mindset with this.
And that's the main focus over the next few, through November.
Right.
That's going to be the main focus, is the sustainability piece and picking out the systems and stuff like that.
Yep.
So
Cost-benefit analysis of that though, too, right?
all of that,
Right.
all of that stuff.
Okay, great. Aaron, anything on your side?
No report.
Okay. Sarah?
No report.
Tom? No report. Actually, I wouldn't make one report. Policy subcommittee-wise, I have gone through and cataloged what amounts to an enormous amount of policy work. Probably on the order of 150-plus policies that need review and update. Go ahead and laugh, Sean, yeah. And that's before some feedback I received from the central office. I know Michelle in particular has a few that she wants to really target. I think Jen mentioned 1 or 2 last year as well, so they might correspond appropriately, but there's going to be quite a bit of work there, and so I'm working with Aaron and Chuck to try and get that schedule going as much as we can. So a lot of work to come in that space, but we'll have to figure out how we get some of it done. There's no way we're getting 157 or 150 of it done this year. But MASC has been very busy. Some of them are important from most recent legal updates. There's a whole slew of Title IX updates that have come out this year as a result of some of the most recent legal findings in Kansas, I think, in particular, and a few others that are happening. So more to come in that space, but we've got a lot of work to do. Okay.
I forgot, Permanent Building Committee had a meeting, and they are in the process of selecting an owner's project manager for that. They are trying to target for the senior center to be out at the same time, going to the bidders at the same time as Killam. So they have to get the owner's project manager on board to help them pick a site and then take them through that schedule piece of it too. So that meeting was on Monday.
Okay. All right, any questions on that? No? All right, so moving on to new business. We'll start with the RMHS Student Handbook Review and Approval. Ms. Callanan, are you, or Dr. Milczewski kicking off?
Yeah, I'll kick it off, and then Ms. Callahan can jump into, and I think everyone can see her online, correct?
Yep.
Perfect. So couple of things. You're going to see that there is the handbooks, both the district-wide handbook and the RMHS handbook that were published earlier the week in the packet are slightly different than the one that was updated today in the packet. Just want to flag a couple of things that will be different. 6 things. One, the language you'll see where it says parent/caregiver is now replaced with parent/guardian. That's to align the conversation I think we had 3 years ago around like legal implications of both of those terms. 2, replacing policy JICH and JICHR with the updated versions from 2022. We added links to the policies and some of the policies that were like similar to the way that we did last year in the district handbook. It wasn't as consistent in the RMHS handbook, so we made sure that there was links to the policies instead of actually including the entirety of the policy in there. We updated the language under the illness documentation to state illness communicated by parent or guardian instead of the original language, which didn't align to sort of the committee policy and district procedure. And then last but not least, we removed a duplicative section N, which was previously on page 71. Oh, and last but not least, in the district-wide handbook, we also add the RMHS METCO program, the table of contents, and put as a heading in the district handbook. So just wanted to flag, you'll see those all in the updated packet, but just want to make sure we flag those before we dive in. As we dive into kind of both handbooks, since we see Jess on screen, I'd just like to thank Jess for her leadership in the last couple of years, and I think moving the handbook forward pretty significantly over the last couple of years with the collaboration and support and teamwork of her school council, which is, as we know, a pretty high-performing school council. They spent a lot of time on that this year. It is still not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. I know some of us are saying it's like a constant improvement and iteration, but I know, Jess, you put a lot of time and energy into this document, and just really appreciate your leadership on that. And then similarly, before Jen comes on, appreciate Jen's work over the last couple of years in collaboration with many members of the committee too, to really improve our district-wide handbook and also working extensively with our district legal counsel. So just want to make sure both those leaders were recognized and the respective school councils. And would, Jess, is there anything else that you'd like to share before we open up to questions or concerns, feedback?
No, Tom, that was great, but yes, my school council worked diligently the entire school year this year to update our handbook and did a lot of work to align it with other documents the school publishes, like the program of studies, which, you know, I'm being succinct, but it takes a lot of work to make sure everyone agrees and that we move forward. And I truly appreciate the commitment of my school council in making this, made it so we were able to vote on it in June of this year to move forward. And then I can take questions. Is that what you said, Tom? Dr. Milczewski.
Sure. Tom's fine.
There's 2 of us, one of us will say yes. Anybody have any questions or feedback? Any other points of note? I'll just make a quick point, I guess, then. Ms. Callanan, I want to reiterate the thanks that Dr. Milczewski was saying there. I know it's a hard job, especially for the document that's this long and this hard, and that's been out of date for quite a long time, to continue to move it forward and make the progress. I've received very positive feedback from the school council about the whole process this year and your engagement and working through it in the way you did. So I just want to thank you for that. This has been one of those things that's been a bee in my bonnet for quite some time. So I appreciate the effort and the focus on continuing to get it better day by day, step by step. So thank you again on that regard.
Thank you.
You want to start with a motion, Aaron, for us?
Motion to approve the RMHS student handbook.
Second.
Second by Sean. No further questions? All in favor? All opposed? And it passes 5-0. Thank you again, Mrs. Callahan.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Two.
Hi, thank you.
Okay, we'll now move on, and I think it's already been introduced, but we'll move on and change the spotlight here to Dr. Stice. So, Jen, you there? You want to add any comments on the district handbook and share any updates or anything?
I just really wanted to take a moment to thank Olivia Lejeune. She has been working very hard this year to make sure it was all updated. We've spent the last few years, as you know, working with our attorneys to make sure that it's aligned and all of the links are working correctly with the right information. So I'm just really grateful for the support of central office to make sure we are getting it done in the right way. So thank you.
Great. Any feedback or questions on the district-wide student handbook? Okay, I'll jump in again. I know we started this a couple of years ago, Jen, so I appreciate the continued work on this one as well. It's going to be, I love the fact that there are links to it, that it's like a live document now as opposed to a static PDF as well, and the way that you've worked through it. Some of the simple stuff that often gets missed, formatting, so it looks professional, it's clean, et cetera. So I just want to thank you for that as well. And as we transition some of our other handbooks, this is more the model that we want to go to and where we're going. So I just want to thank you for that work and the effort there. So, and Olivia for all the support she's provided as well. Okay, we have a motion on this one.
Motion to approve the district-wide student handbook.
Second.
Seconded by Sean. Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed, and it passes 5-0. Thanks again, Dr. Stice.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Jen.
Okay, so we will now move on to the next portion of our agenda, which is the new leadership introductions. We have one that will be joining from her school committee meeting that's happening in Haverhill right now, so she'll be joining on Zoom shortly, and that's Jill Story. And we have a few people here in the audience, and we have one more already on Zoom as well. Alana's already on Zoom, so Dr. Milczewski, you want to get us started?
Great. Anyone willing to go first? Perfect. All right. Well, we're thrilled. So I think the committee has met Barbara Best before, and if you haven't, Barbara's right in front of us too. Thrilled to have Barbara joining our leadership team this year. I think people probably get to know Barbara a little bit over the last few years, where she has jumped in with initially with an internship, which is supposed to be like a semester-long, kind of couple of hours a week supporting the district leadership team. It's supposed to be a semester long. Barbara stayed on for the full year and then ended up staying last year in more of a consulting support role for us and launching our children's cabinet. After 2 years of having her kind of foot in the door in the district, has now stayed on with us this year and committed to serving or completing her doctoral residency with us for the year to come, which is super exciting. A little bit about the program for those in the community who are interested. This is Barbara's in the third year of a doctoral program at Harvard. It's a joint degree between the Harvard Kennedy School, the Harvard Business School, and the Harvard Graduate School of Education, and Barbara will graduate in May. In her third year of the program, she's required to serve on a residency site for full-time. Come on up, Barbara.
Come on up.
And is also then required to complete a Harvard's version of a dissertation, and this program is a capstone where she's going to be speaking about and writing about a strategic project that she's leading within the district. So there's one project that she's going to focus on for her capstone. That does not mean she'll not be having, involved in a variety of projects in the district. She's a member of our senior leadership team and is with us day in and day out on the work. Something that we've been really excited about and fortunate about is that the residency is fully funded by Harvard for us this year too, which is normally close to $100,000. So for us to get that without any cost is a huge lift for our district too. And I've shared Barbara's background, I think, many times with anyone I've talked to. A couple of things that sticks out. Barbara has close to 30 years of experience in the education and community leading sector. She has been the president and the executive director of the Children's Fund Spend in Texas, and also of the Center for Public Leadership at the Kennedy School at Harvard. She's also a parent herself. Her student who graduated Cambridge Public Schools is now a sophomore at Yale. Barbara, if you don't know, is also a fluent Spanish speaker, speaks both English and Spanish at home with her family, and her child went through a bilingual school in Cambridge. If you've had any time with Barbara, you'll see that she's not only her experience is incredibly impressive, but just her leadership, her skill brings a new element to our team that we think is going to push all of us to be better and push our district to move forward in some exciting ways. So a huge welcome to Barbara. Barbara, I want to give a minute just for her to be able to share a little bit about just her work thus far, how she's approaching her entry, and anything she's learning about the community, and then open up for any questions.
Thank you so much, Tom. I'm so deeply grateful, Dr. Milczewski and the school committee, for your leadership and to serve this amazing community. I am so passionate and energized to write my capstone this year and really focus on Reading Public Schools, which is such a magical place. And one of the things that really strikes me is this model that you have of a school district, RPS, serving as a vibrant hub of community engagement. It's really exciting. And so I'm excited to build out the children's cabinet and strengthen school connectedness through a community-wide strategy to cultivate school connectedness. And so thank you all for your leadership, and truly honored to serve this community. I'll happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions, anybody, or statements? You all are quiet tonight. What happened? You know, cat's got your tongue. It's been 6 weeks and you forget how to speak.
We're glad to have you, Barbara.
There you go.
Grateful to be here.
I've had the opportunity to work with you a little bit on the Children's Cabinet, and I'll echo a lot of what Tom said, and I've seen it in action as well. I think the word I keep thinking of is empathy. I think I see you lead with empathy a ton throughout those conversations as we're trying to really kind of tie the community together and help all of our students rise. And I appreciate your effort, your focus, your energy, your passion that you show in that environment. I'm looking forward to seeing it in this greater environment as well. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you.
Carla?
We had a great coffee, and she came with a bunch of questions, and we ended up veering off and did our own little conversation about what students need, what teachers need, what just the emotional impacts and just what people need to be present so they're able to learn. And so it was very enjoyable. So I know we're all happy to have you here.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you so much.
We have Jill on, and since she's jumping out from the school committee, do we want to go with
Sure.
Jill next?
Sounds good.
Is that okay? Beth, you all right with that?
That's what we cleared up by text message just now. So I am prepared to be on the ready.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Jill. Thank
All
you.
right, excellent. Thank you. I'm sorry I could not be there in person. I really would have loved to be there. I'm stepping out of my own school committee meeting. But I'm very happy. Jill Story, interim principal at Parker. I'm so excited to be leading that school. You know, it's my second year at the school. Last year was a really positive experience for me. I met so many wonderful families. I love working with the kids there and with the amazing staff. I'm so excited to have Beth on board. We've been getting to know each other better over the last few weeks. And just figuring out how we're going to come together and make this an amazing year. What I've noticed and what I'm really excited about this year is the energy. So we had our Welcome to Parker event for some 6th graders this week who were able to attend. We had new to Parker students who are in 7th and 8th grade who came and did tours. And there's a great energy, and staff have been in and are getting ready. We have some really experienced returning veteran staff and some new faces and some new energy. So last year was a great year in terms of being able to provide some real targeted interventions for kids. And I think we saw the results of that work in some of our preliminary assessment scores. And so I'm really just excited to build upon the successes we had last year, and I think it's going to be an amazing year. So thank you very much for having me, and I'm very excited.
Great. Dr. Milczewski, do you want to add anything about Jill?
I was going to introduce you, Jill, but you did a wonderful job. I got to know Jill last year a little bit too. So really excited for Jill to step into this role, and I think, I don't know what else to say outside. We're ready to roll, right?
We're ready. Yeah, schedules was the biggest thing. We have some changes, which I think are going to be great for the kids. So it took a little bit extra time, but just a few minor tweaks that we have to do, but we're ready to go next week. It's going to be great.
Jill, since I didn't take the time to introduce you in that way, maybe I can ask you a question, because you and I have talked about a lot. What is something you think like Parker families should be excited about? You've talked a little bit about like changes to schedule or changes to programming. What do you think are some of the headlines and things that families might want to know if they had kids go through Parker a couple of years ago that may look a little bit different?
So I think one of the biggest changes is going to be we have the World Language Exploratory happening in 6th grade. And so I know I've gotten a few questions from parents of 6th graders. What is this? My kid wants to take Spanish there and French. So what we did is that's happening during what was their team time. So they're going to have full team time. It's going to be called Project Block now. Perhaps half the year, and then the other half of the year, there'll be 1/4 of a Spanish exploratory, 1/4 of a French exploratory. All the kids who it works in their schedule are able to take those, as many as possible, and it's really just exposure to the culture and the traditions, not the language itself, but it'll hopefully help kids make a little bit more informed decision when at the end of 6th grade, they're choosing their world language for 7th grade. And then some of the biggest changes are happening in 8th grade, so we are offering some of those electives that used to compete against our arts and our music program. We were able to pull those out, so they're no longer competing. So we're preserving the fantastic music and arts program, but also giving kids options to take. Every 8th grader is going to be taking computer science, financial literacy, digital ethics and leadership, and information literacy, which I think are really going to be helpful for preparing them for high school. And then we're incorporating Pathways exploratory courses during that project block period. So they'll rotate through each quarter. Civics, the civic action project, which they were doing in their civics class, and now it's going to come out of that. It's going to be Pastel, that's why they're exploratory, clean energy, engineering, and then a public health exploratory. So those are going to be fun, and there's also going to be an opportunity for us to provide math and ELA intervention, as well as enrichment opportunities for kids, so they'll be able to sort of move it in and out of those Pathways exploratory. So a lot of changes, but I think overall some positive changes. We still will have some electives for kids who aren't in band and chorus as well, so we've added a few new offerings there. We'll be explaining this. We did explain it to kids in the spring, but we'll be going over it again with them next week at our grade level meeting, and I'll be including just a blurb on that in the newsletter to families, which should be coming out tomorrow.
Great.
Awesome.
Carla?
So how do those exploratory tracks happen? Is it just during like a, I know they're not called flex blocks in middle school, but is it during like one? Okay.
Yeah, sorry, it's a little delay. So it's during what would have been the team time block, and so we have essentially a project block, which is just one period. We have a waterfall schedule as well, which is a new schedule. So kids will meet at different times every day in their classes. And so there's one of those periods that it kind of rotates through this waterfall. Which is the project block. So 3 of those periods are for an elective, band or chorus, or an art, or we have media production and animation are also offered during that time. And then on the off periods is when they have those Pathways exploratories. So it's 3 class periods out of the 6, they would have that Pathway exploratory, and then the other 3 periods they would have that elective, which is band, chorus, or a different elective.
So if you're in band and chorus, you still can participate in that?
Right, yeah, you would do it on the off periods.
Great, that's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to say thank you. We've been asking for middle school schedule-related things for quite some time. It's great to see that the fruit of many people's labor for quite a few years is coming to fruition. And I love the vertical alignment as well that we've talked about a little bit in the spring, but to hear more about it now that leads into the high school pathways is great to see. And always one of my questions when it came to the pathways was, how's a kid supposed to know? Right? How do they know that they want to do this? And some kids know when they're like born, basically, and other kids still don't know, like me when I was 22. But, it doesn't, at least you're given an opportunity to learn a little bit about some of these things before they, make a decision to go into one of those pathways. But thank you, and thank you to all the staff and people that came before as well that helped made that possible too. So thanks, Jill.
Thank you so much. Yeah, exposure was the goal, so I think it'll be really good. I think all the kids are gonna really enjoy it.
Okay. Thank you. You can go back to your own school committee meeting now.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye.
We have a lot online. We have Beth here. How do you want to proceed?
We can continue on with Parker. I think as we continue on with Parker, I think it was, I've heard some people ask, it's like, I feel like a year of transition for Parker. What's interesting is 2 of the 3, administrative leaders in the building are still the same next year. I mean, Jill's returning, Kimberly is returning. So the one new member of the team is Beth Simpson, and I think Beth will be serving in the interim assistant principal role. We are really lucky to have Beth joining our team, especially so late in the game with that open position. To have a leader of her caliber joining our team was something we did not expect and something that we are all absolutely ecstatic about. Many in the community, kind of have known Beth for probably for a while. Beth had been a teacher, started her career in North Carolina, but then had taught for over a decade in Wakefield, and then had gone on into a principal prep program, and then had also moved out into a core faculty and lecturer role at Harvard, and has been there for over 12 years now. And she's also led, many student-facing programs while she was there too. So it wasn't just a role where she is just focusing on instructing of, graduate, undergraduate students, but also directly involved with K-12 students, mostly in Cambridge too. And most of her work at Harvard has been around teacher prep, teacher leadership, which if you're in that field, you know a lot of that, you have to have a strong understanding of teaching and learning. And I think that'll be a huge lift to any middle school, and I'm excited what that's going to bring to Parker too. Beth also is an avid sports fan, which we know is exciting in this community too. Beth has been a assistant varsity girls basketball coach at, I can't remember the name of it, I'm just kidding, no, one of the towns next door, Wakefield, excuse me, teasing you, where her family's very Wakefield proud. It's tough for them to see them come to Reading. So
I
coming to
never
Reading
thought
now.
I'd be a rocket, and here we are.
We'll get you the right color red, right? But excited to have you joining our team and to bring a leader of your caliber in. So I was also laughing the day that we found out that Beth would be joining us. Barbara, said we're like, Barbara, we're having somebody named Beth Simpson. You might know her from Harvard. Beth, and she went on to say how well respected she is in the community, both locally and at HGSE. So we're thrilled to have you. Excited that you're back in the halls of the K-12 school consistently, as here in Reading, and love to hear sort of what you're thinking about with your entry joining the Parker community.
Okay, I'll be really transparent. Thank you for that. Thank you for that opening, and thank you to Chairperson Wise for the invitation, the committee members for welcoming me here. I feel this is both a responsibility and an opportunity. So it comes with a little bit of weight and a little bit of pressure, but I'm glad that I have it in front of me, the platform to have a voice, so I appreciate that. I will be fully transparent that I would be more at ease right now if this room was filled with 500 middle schoolers than I am sitting in an empty library with adults. But that being said, I'm still grateful for the opportunity. What Tom said is true. I am from a family, like people have asked me before, you see people and they're like, what do you do? What did you end up doing for work? Like people you went to high school with, or what did you end up doing for work? And I'm like, family business. And it's kind of like, oh, you're a plumber, you're an electrician, like what? And I'm the proud daughter of two career public school educators who, when Tom referenced the Wakefield Pride, they both were career educators at the middle school. Well, it was a junior high in Wakefield. It's actually how they met, how they fell in love, for better or worse, and are probably watching the school committee night tonight because they are very proud that one of their children became an educator. And I'm grateful for that. I still think of them as my first and my most important teachers. That being said, this August I just started my 25th year in the field of education, and half of which has been spent as a middle school teacher, a middle school teacher leader, instructional leadership in middle school, and half of which has been spent really in teacher prep and teacher education at the university level, a space where I never thought I would end up, both because it wasn't a goal at the time and because actually pathways through careers in education aren't really clear for educators. So I wound up as a faculty person teaching at the Harvard Graduate School of Education, which I was also a graduate of. Tom talked about the principal program I had gone through, it was there. And I had the opportunity to teach teachers, which at that time felt right for what I was passionate about, what I cared about, what my vision was for how I impacted the world. Administrative level at the school, administration at the school level, despite going through a very expensive principalship program, did not feel like the fit at the time. But the moment, I think, has arrived, and it arrived suddenly and sort of unexpected, quietly on a Saturday morning, and it's here, and I am very excited, I am very grateful, and I am looking forward to the challenges and the work that's ahead. I had the opportunity 2 weeks ago, might have been my third or fourth day here in Reading, to participate in a restorative practices workshop that was held at the police station, here in the Reading Police Station. And the person who was leading the community circle that we were doing asked the question of, like, if you had to describe yourself, of like what kind of vehicle you're in right now, like at this point in the summer, at this point in your work, and people were like, speedboat, and I'm like, that sounds fun. Other people were like, Blair I'm floating through, I'm like, that sounds fun, and it got to me, and I'm like, what? I wanted to say Jeep Wrangler, because I always imagine myself in a Jeep Wrangler, but I said I'm on foot carrying a backpack that's getting heavier. And I think that's good news, not bad, because I do not feel like I'm alone in that trek. You know, Jill has been working incredibly hard under very pressure circumstances, because I can barely log into Plus Portal or whatever it is, and I'm switching from an Apple to a Chromebook, and I keep hitting the wrong keys, and I'm still very new to this, and she's carrying a lot of weight without, without it interfering with our developing a positive relationship as a team. And I think that's a tremendous, that tells me a lot about Jill and a lot about what we have here in Reading. On the personal side of things, I would say, as just a personal story, I can tell you that one of the things, and it might sound a little hokey, but I think it is true, that something I'm looking forward to is, in terms of being here now, is just really actually working hard on behalf of family and kids in Reading, and in Reading Public Schools. And I say that as someone who, with my wife, decided that we, before this job came along, school choice our own child into Reading Public Schools. We believe in Reading Public Schools. And I talked to Erin the other day. I got home from a particularly challenging day, and I said, today was hard, and I know it's going to get harder, but I feel like it still feels right. I'm not discouraged. I'm not frustrated. I'm just starting to wade further into the water and see more, and it is, things are hard. People are tired. They're frustrated by change. All of that is normal and to be expected given the circumstances of our political environment, our social environment, and the challenges that kids face now, and the labor that it takes to be a teacher, to give of yourself at work and at home. But we believe in Reading Public Schools, and when I said to Erin, I said, you know, it feels like the right place, and we talked about it a little bit more. She and I, one of the reasons why we are a match is because we align around the deep care and concern we have for all children, not just our own. And I think the opportunity here for me now and for her as part of the Reading Public School system too, and now Evan, is that we have the chance to continue to care about all children professionally and count our son in that, all children. So it feels like we're living our values. That's what we said, which feels really good as a family, and onward. So thank you for the time tonight.
Any questions or comments for Beth?
You're really good at this for somebody who feels as uncomfortable as you said you do.
I imagined you know how they say imagine everyone naked? I just imagined you as 12. I was just like,
I'm sorry.
A 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, like a wily 11-year-old. We got it all right here. I just imagined you a little differently. So,
Want us to start acting up?
yeah, we could do that too. We could do that too.
Give us a few minutes and we can act up. All right.
Imagined you as middle schoolers, and it all worked out.
I'll just say, Beth, welcome.
Thank you.
I think a lot of what you said resonates with pretty much everybody here. You know, reaching all kids, not just our own. That's why the 5 of us are here, and I'll count Chuck as a 6th person who's not here, but doesn't even have kids in the district anymore. He's still here because he cares that much. So I think that resonates loud and clear. And I got to say, especially hearing the Wakefield introduction, the fact that you all chose to bring Evan to Reading must have been an interesting pill to swallow, but one that shows that we're going in the right direction with Reading. So I just want to thank you for that trust as well, as a parent, that you're putting out there. So thank you. Anybody else? Okay, on to Alana. Dr. Milczewski, you want to start there?
Yes, can Alana sit? There we go. Good evening. I think the community has met Alana Schoen over the years, was in the Reading Public Schools from 2016 to 2023. Took a 1-year break from the Reading Public Schools, but is thrilled to be back with us. I think, again, really lucky to, given the circumstances of a late transition, have a leader of Alana's caliber who knows the community, Reading community, and also knows the RISE community deeply. Prior to coming to Reading, Alana was a special education director, a teacher, and an educational advocate. And then also had worked in a variety of roles, particularly team chair roles during her time in Reading Public Schools, and then ended her time in Reading as a team chair in RISE. So she is someone who knows the program really well. If you ask people, kind of around the Reading community about Alana, the two things that come up to me most consistently are, one, she really loves kids. Like, your kid is going to go to, under a school, under Alana's leadership, they're going to feel loved and they're going to feel supported, which we know is so important at any level, and especially at our pre-K level. Two, is someone who has deeply knowledge about special education. I think that that's something that we've heard consistently from the RISE community, is having a leader who understands special education and the needs of students is incredibly important in those formative years. Really excited to have you join our team, and really lucky to have you in the RISE community. So, Alana, anything that you'd like to share with the community as you kind of, now we're just a couple of days back in and quickly a couple of days away from students?
Yeah, thank you, Tom. No, it's been a whirlwind, for sure, but I'm so excited. I feel like Reading is a magnet, and I am just pulled right back in, and I was so excited about the opportunity when Jen and Allison reached out to me originally. I am so excited about reconnecting with the families. In the last couple of days, I've been reconnecting with the staff and the district leadership, as well as the team chairs. So I'm really so happy about this.
Great. Any questions or comments for Alana?
No?
Welcome back.
Welcome back. It's like, gotta play the welcome back Cotter. Yeah. Great to have you back, Alana, and I'm glad the video got fixed for you too, so we actually see you too. So.
I'm so excited. I'm just so excited to be back at a preschool and connecting with kids. And while I wait for my future grandchildren, I can really just delve into that 3 to 5 age range, and I'm so excited.
Great. Hopefully she'll be with us to open up a new preschool at a new school as well, right, in a few years, so have them all under one roof.
That'd
Okay.
be wonderful.
Alana is committed to the year, and we'll see.
We'll see what happens from there,
We
right?
like to keep great leaders, so we will we'll see how the year goes.
Indeed.
Thank you again for jumping on, and I know everyone is, I've heard nothing but positive and excitement from the RISE community over the last couple of weeks, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. That concludes this portion of the agenda. Thank you all for coming and for joining us. We very much appreciate it. Good to get to know you more and more day by day.
Have a good night.
I always like, isn't it great when our leaders speak and they talk about how much more comfortable they are around kids? Isn't that what you want? I can just see it, like, can't you just see them in front of the school? It's awesome.
Okay, so moving on to the old business and the superintendent goals, and as we were thinking about the agenda for today, one of the things that I was recalling from the formative review, as I mentioned earlier, was both Dr. Milczewski expressed some questions or reservations in his own feedback about the one basically remaining outstanding goal of cataloging and capturing research-based practices and whatnot. And some of the committee thought that might be a daunting goal too. So I wanted to make sure that we had a chance to talk about it as a committee to see if we wanted to make an adjustment. And I've asked Dr. Milczewski to look at it and see what his thoughts are and, kind of lead the conversation from that perspective, and we can go where we need to go. So, Tom, if you want to jump in.
It just says host is disabled screen share.
Let me make you, are you which one are you? This is laptop. I'll make you, I'll give you the co-host. Go for it now.
Let's see.
Go for it now.
Now we're in business. All right, great. So there's, I'm not going to go through the entire presentation here, which is the 23 to 25 goals, given that these are the same goals that we had, or 2-year goals, I should share. Let's see. But I did want to just quickly mention, go up to the goal that Tom had mentioned, which is our District 3 goal around data. So the conversation last year was around this section where, let's see.
Develop a first iteration.
Yep. Number 5, benchmark number 5, where it says development of a first iteration of a system to capture research and best practice by June 1st, 2024, and expanded version by June 1st, 2025. the reason I had some hesitation on that after reflecting on this year is I think that that's a pretty lofty goal in terms of having what is a database in a way, in some sort of way, to capture like what's working. So as a way that we can continue to replicate that moving forward as we have transitions in leaders, or as we can, scale to different sites, scale to different levels. But I do think that this is a lofty, but it's also an important goal. And I also think the idea of its stating development of a first iteration gives some leeway to say that it's okay this year if it's not the fully fleshed out system of where we would want it to be, but instead makes progress in that direction. So I feel comfortable with the way that the language is written. And as the year goes on too, I keep the committee informed too if there's certain areas of that goal where we may be focusing on to capture research in what area, or best practice in what area on that, and refine them as the year goes on. Other than that, I think the goals are pretty straightforward, and we've gone through them pretty extensively over the last year plus.
Sean?
So I hear the point. I mean, system implies, like a database or something like you suggested, like a software implementation, which isn't probably what we intended. What if we change that word to be process, right? And really, this is more focused on, creating a repeatable process for the district to follow to ensure that, we're holding ourselves accountable to evaluating the data systematically, identifying best practices, promulgating those throughout the district. Like, if we thought about it that way, instead of like, it's a particular deliverable of a software, software solution or a database, it's, not only achievable, it's something that we're already starting to do now. Maybe we could formalize it a little bit more and sort of, document it. But I wonder if that gets more like sort of the intent here.
Sarah?
I had the exact same thought of changing that word to process, then I wonder if we also put continuously capturing resources as an ongoing iterative process for continuous improvement.
As the one who I think created that, I'll take those both as friendly amendments. I think the intent is exactly that, right? That we have a way that we are looking at things, we're finding what works and what we want to propagate, what we want to, expand out on, where we may have cases of micro success that we want to bake macro success. Instead of, one classroom, we want to make it a school or a grade. Instead of one school, we want to make it, an entire grade across the district. So how do we learn from that and then continue to move forward? Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts or feedback on any other goals? That, I think, was the one that was highlighted in particular. I guess, Tom, number 2 is also one that we should just make sure we're hitting on the key points of the central location for storing key student level data. We talked a little bit about kind of a data warehouse type concept that Liam was thinking about. Do you have a chance to look at that and see how far or any concerns you have with that one as it stands?
I like the goal as is. I think we need to have, like, I've talked with committee members individually too, of just some of the ways that were the specific metrics we're measuring internally, our own sort of, dashboard of data, and our leaders need to be able to have access to that data, in a clear, organized, comprehensive sort of location. And I think that that's perfectly aligned to what we need to do and where we're trying to go. I think it makes sense.
Okay. I guess I'll jump back to 5 again, looking around since there's no hands. When I drafted that, I was initially thinking specifically early literacy.
Yep.
But I do want to make sure that we think about it more broadly as well as you go through it, whether it's sense of belonging related research and how we can continue to make our student populations feel like they belong and that they can thrive and grow. Literacy at the middle school level, we heard some great things at the end of last year, and there's movement happening this year, but how do we continuously look through that? And is there literacy research in particular that applies to that level of population from an age perspective? And then I can't leave out math in particular as well, as we continue to make progress with regards to math pathways and anything else we can do to continue to bolster that kind of access and educational support.
Great.
All right, let's, sounds like we're in general agreement. I don't think we need to vote at all, but good. All right, so we can go ahead and stop the share, Tom, when you get a chance. And we'll move on to the last topic, which is new business, the beginning of 2024 school year updates, including middle school METCO coordinator discussion.
Great. So this is going to be more of a kind of assortment of random items as we come back that may be of interest to the community. A couple things. First, start with the big one, probably on community's mind. Where do we stand with staffing? So we are down to 4 open teaching positions, and all of them are ones that have opened up in the last couple of weeks. One is a speech language pathologist, and that's at Birch. One is or 2 special education teachers, Wood End and Coolidge, a Spanish teacher at RMHS, and a 1-year math teacher at RMHS. I would say actually on all of those, we have candidates at this point and are in interview processes. Some are sort of in the offer stage as well. So that's, well, with 2 special officers, that's 5 positions that we still need to finalize in the next couple of days, but we do feel optimistic on all of them. And then the only other open positions are 5 para positions, 2 at Rise, 1 at Killam, and 2 at RMHS. Again, most of those were late resignations as well. All of our other bargaining unit and non-unit positions are all fully staffed. On the building front, a huge thank you to our facilities team. I think we have the absolute best facilities team in the area. Buildings look great, are ready for enter to welcome students, staff back on Monday, students back on Wednesday. So just a big thank you to all of our custodial staff. Quick thank you to our summer food service team who launched a variety of different offerings over the summer, and pleased to share that our summer food service program has been nominated by the USDA's annual Turnip the Beat. You guys get it? Turnip the Beat, award. This recognizes outstanding programs offering high quality, appealing, nutritious meals. It was like they said was an elite group who met this criteria, and now we're going to be entered in the running to potentially win be one of the national recipients too. But I think Catherine and her team to withstand some of our summer food offerings is really exciting as well. Huge thank you to them, and they're ready to launch this year breakfast served in all of our schools every day, and I know a question had come up before around protein smoothies. They're also this year going to be able to have protein smoothies that add protein in as well. May not be ready for day one, but adding whey in sort of to add a little bit more nutrition and protein is in the works. Some people maybe just we're going to start the year, most of our elementary schools offering breakfast in the classroom for our kindergarten students, just to kind of ease transition as well. But that's kind of something that is a little bit of a work in progress for us too. A couple of summer highlights. We had 158 students attend ESY out of the 238 that were referred. Just welcomed back a successful new staff induction for about 40 staff members across the district. And then teachers have been in and out throughout the summer on all sorts of, projects, work groups, safety care training, updating K-2 literacy indicators to the report card, K-5 creating a system for sharing literacy supports, grades 6 through 8 working on the Amplify scope and sequence. So there's been teacher teams working sort of here throughout the summer as well. Summer math work, there's also been, as you know, a variety of things we've talked about over the summer from our summer geometry course. I'd like to give a quick shout out to Janelle Chuvy from the middle school level, who Janelle had been working with a lot of our 7th and 8th grade students, rising 7th, 8th, who wanted a little bit more of a push. Sarah Hardy was able to look at sort of the portal, the Google Classroom that was used to engage with students. She said that she was able to track over hundreds of comments that Janelle had between her and the students. So students would be able to ask any question that came up, and Janelle would be able to respond in a timely way. She looked over their work proactively and saw areas that needed help and would also follow up with them. We are kind of going back to that database, or that system process database. We're really eager to find out, look at their iReady scores from the spring, compare those to, where, kind of run a little sample study on how that compares to students who are not enrolled in that summer course and see how that plays out. But a huge shout out we had a pretty good amount of kids who are engaged over the summer, and a huge shout out to teachers who supported them and went above and beyond. We've talked a lot about what's ahead for this year, but just a couple of things to flag for the community again. We're excited to welcome the Deaf and Hard of Hearing program from SEAM, which is about, right now, looks like 11 to 14 students, grades K-4 at Wood End, and they still are committed to offering free sign classes for anyone in the Wood End and larger RPS community, so more info to come. Families should expect to hear from principals about some streamlined safety and security processes and protocols based on an I Love You Guys training we went to. This was a training with us, the police officers and fire chief, norming around different language and vocabulary around different safety plans and processes in the buildings. A couple of trainings and opportunities coming up, CPAC and school committee co-sponsoring the Right to Read film, coming up, the date to be determined sometime this fall.
October 2nd or October 9th, we just got to finalize it.
Just, okay, there we go. Little Lions on September 19th around school avoidance, 6 to 7:30. And then Sarah Ward to families on October 23rd from 6 to 7:30 about executive functioning. And then I think we've talked at length around a lot of the curriculum work that's happening this year around Amplify, partnering with Hill for Literacy, continuing, you know, our PD around our core. Did also want to flag for the community that also something happening at the high school level in around instructional improvement is our partnership with the Modern Classroom Project. If you want to just quickly, you know, you can Google Modern Classroom, I believe it's modernclassroom.org. 16 RMHS teachers are participating in that program, which is a model that allows teachers to develop a kind of a different take on pedagogy, which involves blended instructions, self-paced, mastery-based learning as well. And there's, if you go on their website, it is modernclassroom.org. There's a lot of, you see a lot of like their research study on some of the impact that this model has had across the country too. But excited to see what that looks like for the RMHS community as well. I'll pause there on just that assortment of updates, and then I'll go into just kind of talking about one position that I want to highlight.
Any questions on any of the stuff you just talked about?
Very exciting. It's the theme of the night, excitement.
We hope, excitement, optimism, I mean, we should feel that way with
Return to school. Yeah.
return to school, right?
Yep.
You'll see on the agenda, there was also a late ad for us to put in a position, which is the METCO coordinator position. I would like to ask the committee for support around adding a METCO coordinator position, a one-year position for the year to come. To tell you a little bit about what that, kind of our current model, as you know, is that at all 5 of our elementary schools, we have a METCO SAC. So it's a licensed mental health clinician who supports all students and also serves as a METCO coordinator and counselor. At the high school level, we don't have a METCO SAC, we have a METCO coordinator, so our coordinator is not a licensed SAC, but provides day-to-day support, and connection with our students and our families. At the middle school level, we have one SAC who's split between the two. We still feel like at the middle school level is the spot where we feel like we just don't have as much support as we have as some of our other grade levels. And also feel like that's the time where honestly our students really need that additional support. So our team has constantly talked about, over the last couple of years in our, in the school committee of wanting to get to a place where we're able to have a METCO SAC or high level of support in every building. We feel that there's been some positive shift and some things around the budget that we feel that next year we can invest in a one-year METCO SAC who would be full-time METCO coordinator, who would be full-time at Parker, given what Parker, a Title I school who has had a larger METCO population. And that would allow Jericho or METCO SAC to be shared amongst the schools with 3 days at Coolidge, so an additional day at Coolidge, and then 2 days at Parker. While we would have this role served predominantly at Parker, especially to start the year, the door is open for this leader to also be able to support the Coolidge community depending on student needs and things like that as well. We have seen with our METCO roles, our counselor and coordinator roles, really be a game changer for us and for our students in terms of like level of support, student experience. And we think that this is an area that we need to continue to invest in. And I'll say what Curtis always will say is that these roles in the program is all about supporting not just our Boston resident students, but these roles are roles that truly support every student in the building. We've seen Luke have a tremendous impact through his coordinator role at the high school, and we think that we're going to see something similar by adding this position at the middle school level. Next year in the budget, I think this should be a priority, whether it's to continue with the model that we start now or whether it's to try to convert that role into another counselor. We can see as the budget process goes on. Last piece around the kind of the budget for it, this would be $25,000 from the METCO budget, $25,000 in the operating budget. It would be funded from the operating funds through salary differential, which has been a little bit, more favorable than what we had budgeted for. And then in the METCO budget using what is the carryover, which we know is close to around $100,000 as well, and eating into that a little bit to be able to help us what we think is more of an urgent need right now too. So would like the committee's support in that and to be able to answer any questions that you have as we move forward with that.
Karen.
I'm thrilled. You have my wholehearted support. I advocated for this. I think this fills a big need at Parker in terms of, you know, our commitment to sense of belonging for both our Boston residents and I just think for the whole Parker community, like you said, to see someone in a leadership position of color. We need more of that, so I celebrate this wholeheartedly.
Anybody else?
Well said.
I think she spoke for us, so you're good.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, that was our last agenda item. And it's 8
Starting out as
o'clock.
we intend to go forward.
So, well, I don't know if we'll finish every meeting at 8 o'clock, but I will take a motion if there's one that is on, that somebody wants to present.
To adjourn.
Motion by Carla, seconded by Aaron. All in favor? All opposed, and it passes 8 o'clock, we're adjourned.